then I said, I wonder what would happen if, and I just put paint all over what I already did, and then put another piece of paper on the top, and I took a pencil and pushed it all over the paper, and that's what happened. And I think it looks exceptionally creative, but I'm not any more creative than you are. What I might be is slightly more curious, yeah, because I said, as I was talking to this table, that children are motivated by their curiosity. So if you say to a child, or a group of children, what would happen if you have their attention immediately? Yeah. And what happened? So I did it. And that's what happened. So I think that's another thing to look at, because there's a relationship between curiosity and creativity. Fulfill whatever expectations you had or have, and if I haven't, please share them with me. I did put a bit of effort into this, but I'm willing to put more out, but we have to give me some direction of where you want to go. I'm ready to go anywhere with it.
Off the site.
That was great.
That depends. It's been a lot of fun to keep watching you enjoy yourselves. I'm just wondering, is there any area you'd like to look at?
When we talk about creativity, we are also knowing resources in reality. And we always provide them with open activities. So you can use it in different ways. As you put one of my guys, I have explored area in my class when I was working here. I give them needs one day. One of the guys picked up and said, this is my guy. Another picked up and said, this is my watch. So they use same thing in different ways. So this is how they are and expressing their creativity through it.
Yes, you have to allow children to do that. Because they also, one child says, this is my tie. It gives other children ideas to say, well, this is my watch. I believe you're there just to scaffold, just to sort of, support where they want to go. And the only way you know that is in the quality of your interaction, which is something Arthur Lash was talking about earlier today, if you were present for her talk. I've spoken about Reggio Emilia before, which is early years based on creativity. That's all it is. There's no literacy, there's no maths, it's just creativity. It's project-based learning, and the children create these projects. And while they're doing that, they just learn to read and write and to do maths because they need them as tools. But it's not taught in the school. It's just something they learn by accident. And there was a point I was getting to.
And when we talk about they are expressing their creativity through their writing.
Yeah.
They are expressing the ideas in different ways.
Yeah, when they're old enough to be writing, yes, they will. A good example is, I don't know if anybody's familiar with a story I used to read called Harold and the Purple Crayon. And I read this to a group of children that were between the ages 3 and 4 and a half. And Harold decided to take a walk in the moonlight with his purple crayon. So what you see in the book is Harold draws the moonlight because you need the moon. On the next page, and Harold needed a path to walk on. So Harold draws a line. And he walks on the path. Harold decided to take a shortcut, so he draws another one. Harold decided to go into a forest, and he didn't want to get lost, so he drew one tree. It happened to be an apple tree. So the story goes on and on and on and on and on, until Harold decided he wanted to go home, but he couldn't find his window. So he thought he would draw a hill, but he thought a mountain would be better because he could see further. And when he got to the top and stepped over the top, there was no mountain there, so he was falling in midair. So he thought quickly and drew a balloon and a basket and jumped in. And it's really a fantastic story. And I repeated this story at least 3 times a week to the children. And at the age of 3 to 4 and a half, I eventually said, would you like a purple crayon? Yeah! So I had purple crayons, and they had emergent writing. We call it emergent. I think that's the polite term. I call it scribble, but I'm told that's not right. It's emergent writing. And so now for a couple of months, and they were using, I had brought in 4 or 5 of these each morning, and taught them that they had to do this. And if you notice, that's writing, isn't it? Yes. So after about, 4 months, 5 months, I then asked them, would you like to have a purple pen? Yeah, and I made little booklets. So it was Yvonne and a purple crayon. The Adventures of Yvonne, Debbie and the Adventures of Purple Crayon. And I went around and I said, listen, you draw the picture and tell me what you want written on the bottom. And I'll go home and print it out in purple on my computer and put it in a book. And the drawings were very good. But I'm bringing this up because this one chap, Peter, the chap who didn't like to paint, that went crazy with rollers, Peter had an image that looked sort of like him, had his shaped head and whatnot. I said, what's that, Peter? What should I write about? And he said, at the age of 4, Peter is hanging around waiting to grow up. And I thought, that wasn't really cute. That was quite profound. Because I said, you know, me too. I'm hanging around Peter waiting to grow up. So, you know, this child, I think, is extremely unique. And to follow that up, maybe a year later, I bumped into his dad and I said, you know, I'm very fond of your son's creativity, in particular the little booklet he did. Is there anything that he said to you that, you know, anything like that? He said, you know, just the other day, I wasn't very happy with his behavior. So after dinner, I said, Peter, come, I want to speak with you. Do you know today, there was a couple of things he did. He said, wait, Dad, please, don't melt the ice cream towers in my mind. I'm really curious. Now, this is going back 9 years. And I asked his dad maybe a month ago. I said, what's Peter up to? Unbelievable guitar player. I said, no doubt. You know, I mean, I'm really wondering how this person was developing. And here's somebody that wouldn't touch a paintbrush. So, you know, he's quite a remarkably creative child. I mean, you know, philosophically speaking, I mean, he could be a philosopher. I mean, Dad, don't melt the ice cream towers in my mind. Come on. You know, it's quite a concept. You can? I'm busy after 5 o'clock.
One thing I want to ask that we are creative, but we don't know the activity behind. Like whatever you ask us to do, we have done number of times, but the objective today was change. Like I think a number of times we have done this, but we have never in my life I give you the picture of a sound. Or this creativity we have done 100 of times, but the objective today was change. And the one point is, I remember that you said, if anybody told you that you are not creative, draw that person and then believe that you can do that. So we know that we are creative, but we don't know the activity. And you know the activity, you have created activity. So how, from where do we get those activities so that we can become more creative? Our teachers are creative, but they don't know what to do and how to do.
You think because more than that, you're restricted by the curriculum, that the curriculum doesn't allow. Yeah. Well, I think, you know, the name of the workshop is Out of Minds.
Out of the curriculum. Out of the curriculum. We have to concentrate on how we can plan for creative activities. Or from where to get ideas. Know that we are creative in this aspect or can we from where to get ideas related to different subjects.
I think to bear in mind that what's motivating the children you work with is their curiosity. So the question becomes, how can I be creative and curiosity? And so the biggest question is, what would happen if? Now, a great example of this, does anybody know what this is? Ping pong ball. Some of you might have seen it in a previous workshop, because Susan and I do educational conferences in England. And during the breaks, there are bookstores and toy stores. And Susan always looks at the books, Juan always looks at the toys. And then this was in a little card that said, Cosmic Ball. I'm very curious. I'll be 68 years old this Sunday, and I'm getting more curious for some reason. So what this means by a cosmic ball is, you hear it. So I bought it. It was only 3 pounds. So there it is on the dinner table. And I said, Susan, you know, this works by making 2 contacts, which is a battery. I said, so, Susan, why don't we hold hands and you touch the other metal thing. You touch that. Listen, Susan and I played with it, but don't get the wrong idea how we played it. Please, please. So, you know, Susan said, you know, you're unbelievable, David. I said, well, no, I'm just curious. I said, we're going to be doing this workshop in Islamabad with 43 people. I'm really curious. Do you think it would work with 43 people? Because after all, it's just a tiny little battery. How's that possible? I'm not going to tell you the outcome. But are any of you curious what would happen if we all held hands?
Yes, yes.
So why don't we do that?
Sure.
Yeah. And maybe we have to stand up and make a big circle.
Can somebody leave a hand in between to see what happens?
I did.
Well, that's because he's using 2 fingers, one on the hand and one on the finger. They're not holding hands.
Yeah.
They're not holding hands.
They are not holding hands.
Hold your hand.
All right, now somebody.
Leave. No.
Wow.
Yeah.
So? Somebody's not. Yes.
Somebody's not holding hands.
Yeah, when everybody's holding hands.
Yes.
So then, does anybody want to explore like holding hands? So anybody want to explore? I don't mean us, I mean you.